Start recording. Let me be Allison for a second. Who has wins this week? Anybody have some wins they want to share with the group? Let's hear them. Wins, wins, wins. Who's got a win?
Hey Anna,
Yeah,
how are
hi
you?
Jen. Good, how are you?
I'm well.
We can't wait to see you.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Yeah, I mean it's been a pretty solid week. Uh, I am getting ready to secure a new construction deal for our special client that you have heard me talk about to you.
That's so exciting.
So I'm working on that. It's a lot on the shoulders, but yeah, so super excited about that. Just trying to nail down some details. So that's a huge opportunity for our company, obviously. Um, in the area. And then I coached my first softball game for my daughter and we won. So a personal win. It was pretty
God, that's
exciting.
so
Yeah.
fun. What a privilege to live a life that looks like that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like to be in that circle, to do business at that level, and then to go coach your kid's softball game and like count it all the same. Like what a freaking blessing that is. Thank you for sharing that. That gave me like goosebumps.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
See you tomorrow.
Can't wait. Anybody else have some wins? It's gonna be hard to follow up that softball thing, but like give it a try. Oof. I know there's some winners on this call. I know there's some good things going on, but I'll go ahead and get started because I'm not Allison and I can't force you into saying things. Let me share my screen. I made my slide deck because Haley's gone. And so you're going to tell because there's basically nothing on it. Oh, and this is the wrong one. So hang on. This is actually for tomorrow or Thursday. Let me pull. Oh, this one's even worse. There's not even like color in this one. This one gets significantly worse. I'm recording this and let's get rolling. Who was on the call? Like it was, I think like maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago before Sky came, before Gwendy last week, and we were talking about our big, hairy, audacious goals, our vision components of our business. We started talking about core values at a high level, and then we started to kind of shift into the BHAG, and we said this better be a two-parter because it's a really chunky conversation. But who was here on that call? And who has kind of where they left off notes wise as far as like crafting this vision component? Anybody have anything to share there? Anybody work on that big, hairy, audacious goal? This is a 10-year plan. Ours was set in 2022, the fall of 2022 to be exact, November. And the plan was 500 million in annual sales with as many real estate agents as it took that fit our culture to do that number. So the 500 million, very measurable.
Mm.
And I shared that that is the thing that when I'm like, there's months, like I was looking back, we did like I'm vulnerability, right? We did $3 million in sales last March, March of 2025. Our entire team of, at the time, still close to 40 agents, $3 million in sales. Do you think that I made any money in March? I paid to be in business in March. So the big, hairy, audacious goal, though, is what keeps us from then having that moment where we're like, oh, in the short term, we're not profitable. In the short term, this is a giant pain in my butt and I don't feel like dealing with it. This is what keeps us rolling through because I will share in 2026, like when, right? We've got 14.5 million on the books, right? But it's very easy sometimes to see these little short moments that don't hit our expectations. The dopamine's not flowing. And reality is like it's just maybe financially hard, it's emotionally hard. And without the big, hairy, audacious goal that kind of guides us through, it's really easy to act on our emotions in that moment. I always say, do not go after what I consider like short-term problems with what look like long-term solutions, right? Do not make big, long-standing decisions on short-term discomfort, right? March 2025 was a short-term discomfort, but the tool that I use to not get short-sighted there is, well, this is the goal that you've set. Now we're going to use one of Dr. Benjamin Hardy's principles, and we're going to taper this down because time is actually what allows us. It's the tool that we use the least, I think, as business professionals that we should use the most. And we're going to frame this to now have it be a 7 year goal. So instead of 2032, right, we're going to taper this down to being achieved in 2029, which means I have 3 years to get to 500 million in annual sales. So guess what we had to do this year to do it? We had to up our 1 year goal. And that's what I want to go through is where do we take the 10-year goal and where do we start paring it down? I'm going to look in the chat. I think if I'm skilled enough to do that. I'd be so curious to know, does anybody have a big, hairy, audacious 10-year goal that they would share in this space? Even better if you can say it out loud, but I'll look at the chat. I hear a sound.
Hello, I don't. This is Dee Dee Jant from Charleston.
Hey, girl.
Hey, so I don't actually have a 10-year goal because I just turned like 43 this year.
Uh-huh.
So my goal is by 7 years that I want to only have to sell a house if I have to.
Ooh, I love that.
So by the time I'm 50, my goal is to almost be retired out of it, and I only been in business 4 years. So usually in my career paths, I only get like most of 10 years because I get 10 years. Postal service about 10 years. So it had like a 10-year thing with me.
Yeah.
So with that being said, that's just one of my things that I'm looking at. I just want to have to don't want to have to sell a house unless I have to.
I love
So
that.
I guess financial freedom and just, out here living in the sunshine.
I love that. Yeah. And then what I'll challenge you to do on that is really have some conversations with a financial planner, CPA, like just other real estate agents that are there where you want to be, right? I always say like one of your best resources are agents where you want to be at that time frame. Ask them what they're doing. Find out what is that number for you. Understand what your cost of living looks like. What does retirement look like for you? And then really get measurable on what is that measurable that is not just I don't have to sell a house if I don't want to. What is the tangible of I have this much money in reserves, I have this much in my savings, I have this much in my operating account, I own these passive income properties, I have the business running without me being the gasoline. And find those measurables, because that's what you'll start to set up and say, okay, well, by 3 years, I got to have this in place for this to come to fruition. Because I think we always get really like, it's really big and scary, the 10-year. And then what we do, and Allison says this all the time too, like we miss the little moments, like we miss the short goals that are very, very achievable. I set a goal to put $300,000 in the bank in the first 3 months of the year, right? In my 12-week year. So just over. And like it seemed ridiculous when I said it. And the reality of it is that I figured out the little channels to get it done, the ways to save, the ways to invest, the ways to do the things with the money so that it would be there. And now like we're going to stare it down, you know? So I think, and the big thing in real estate I always share is like, if you are setting attainable goals, you will always hit them. And I was going to share this. I I literally said 2 years ago our team's goal was 85 million. So that was 2023. We closed like 92, I think, that year. The following year, because we knew we weren't going to see much market change, we were not planning to grow a lot. I was like, look, let's just break that dumb 100 million number that we just have not been able to do because we were so close the year before. So we set an attainable goal of 100 million, and guess what? We closed in 2025, 105. like, like you're going to end up if you set goals that are attainable. You're going to end up falling into that line of whatever you set. So this year we said, let's do 200. Do you think I'm going to be upset if we go to 185? I won't be upset at all. We are at, I think, 34 units to close in March of this year. The goal was 42. Do you think I'm upset at 34? No, because I'm still going to get paid. There's nobody holding the gate key that says, if you don't hit the number that you shot for, then none of this comes into fruition, right? It's not a winner take all. It's a goal setting thing. So I wanted to just keep that in mind too, that you will stay within the confines of what you set. And this is exactly what I want to share
There's
because most
peanuts in
people
there,
will
by
do
the
this
way.
wrong. You will set goals.
Beets nuts.
Hold on. Hold on. Beets and nuts. Is that you? It sounds like Tracy Dawson. Is that you?
Yeah, sorry.
Stop talking about beets and nuts on my call, girl.
I said sheets and nuts.
So most people are going to do this wrong. You are going to try to come up with something that is too conservative. And honestly, dude, I'm so glad you spoke up because I think even what you shared, while it's very idyllic, it can be a little abstract because there's not as much measurable. 200 million or 500 million in volume. I will know that the second that the year ends. We will know if we hit it or we did not. Anything that's not as measurable can become really difficult. One example of that, I am doing my 12-week year, and under one of my income buckets, I wanted to be a little bit more proactive with my database to provide more team opportunities because the splits are better for me on team deals for our team. So I was like, well, if I'm producing more of these opportunities, I have a higher split on more transactions. That's a faster way to put that 300 in the bank. Well, one of the things that I put I was going to do was do the database twice. All right. And that sounds very measurable. If you don't know what that is, we can send you a copy. We've got a whole plan. You go through, you look at the first name, the last name, you send a text message, you send an email, you do a phone call. And over the course of 1 quarter, you would touch everyone in your database a couple of different ways. Here's the problem. My database is like 600 people, right? Just my sphere is like 600 people. And the reality of it is I would get to one person and I wouldn't have an email, right? Or I wouldn't have, and I just bark at my agents all the time about how we don't have some of these points, but I wouldn't have an email or I wouldn't have the phone number or I wasn't sure if that number was still whatever. And then I wouldn't send the text message, right? Because I was trying to do the database twice. My task was not set up my database. Here's the problem. I never felt like I could confidently check off, do the database twice for my weekly activities because maybe there was a phone number missing or maybe there was an email missing. And I wanted this to be so measurable that I did not want to check something that I couldn't do. So, guess what? I had to then take that and say, do the database twice, but I had to set absolute minimums of what kind of touches I had to do because otherwise I wasn't getting that dopamine hit of saying, I got this done. I was sitting around thinking you could have done more, right? You could do more. You could do more. So it's got to be very measurable and it cannot be too abstract. It needs to be very, very, very specific. A real 10-year target will force you to think in systems. And again, Didi, I'm so thankful you shared because you did exactly that. You were able to say, here's the big thing I want to do. And then immediately you guys heard me go into the prescription side of that saying, okay, well, here are the buckets to that, right? Because that's a system. That's how my brain thinks, right? Here's the 10-year target. Now I want to put how I'm going to do that into systems. One thing I love is that I think the 10-year goal will expose whether you're just building what we call the lifestyle practice or a real enterprise. Lifestyle practice is you are the gasoline, right? And again, Dee Dee's example was perfect. I don't want to sell a house unless I don't want to have to sell a house unless I want to, right? That is an enterprise. I get to make that choice. Do I want to come into production? Do I want to stay on the business side of things? So that's a really big piece to this 10-year goal. And then the 10-year goal should be what you go back to constantly to figure out who am I hiring, right? When should I hire? What technology are we going to need, right? I don't know what that last word is because I made my own slide deck, but I'm sure it was a really important one. Oh, let me let Ann in. All right, let me move this around. Okay, so this also folds into the vision component. So we've talked about that 10-year big, hairy, audacious goal. Anybody, before I move on to the marketing piece of this, does anybody have questions around the big, hairy, audacious goal? Or comments? I know it's Wednesday morning. I know it's early. Anybody else want to share theirs? I would just love to hear one more. Dying.
She's going to smoke you all out. So
100%. I've gotten so comfortable in white spaces. I love them now. I will sit here until someone shares one, actually, now that you said that, because I have to prove a point.
Has Joe Carteret gone yet?
Mm-mm.
No. Oh, interesting, Joe. What's yours?
Hey, I spoke earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. But now I want to hear this now.
Good. Good to see your face. Specific to goals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
What's the 10-year vision for the Carteret Group and for Joe Carteret and for life?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I have decided I will probably never fully leave production. There'll be an element of me that's in production. It will probably be more of a stepped away, kind of Dan and Kyle kind of approach to things. He sent that post the other day about selling his first house in a while, but no, for me, it really, and we're starting the process now, and we have over the past couple of years. It comes down to narrowing down who we are and what we're going after. We have put our business into three buckets, centered really all around just dialing in who our client is. And a lot of it is in the luxury space that we're working with. So our business and our brand, while we have always focused on elevating, we are continuing to elevate every single year and trying to get tighter and tighter to who our ideal client is. So next 10 years, as we are shifting to pretty much 100% focused on executive relocation, sports and entertainment, and then luxury new development work. So we're building a lot of seeds now, relationships with luxury builders that are doing some unique things in Charlotte. So that's where our business as a whole is going. And then the second thing for me that is important and always has been, I know we've talked about it in the past, is continuing to build my legacy and encouraging my team to build their legacy, and thinking bigger and broader versus just selling homes. So whether that is building the business they've always wanted to build, whether that is opening that coffee shop that they've wanted to do. So a lot of conversation in setting the stage now to help them build over the next 10 years, multiple streams of income. So my goals are really centered around building for the future right now versus the here and now. We're trying to go deeper and broader with that.
I love that. And honestly, like could like not have set this next slide up any better. Because I think that this is a place where agents like miss the purpose behind marketing. And what you just shared with us is how your vision does impact marketing strategy, right? Because that is what we do at all levels is everything is going back into marketing, right? Whether that is just the actual emails that are going out, the color choices that we use, all the things, but at the heart of it, and this very much ties into these big, hairy, audacious goals, is you shouldn't be setting this and then have a marketing strategy that is running like far away from this strategy that you've put together. Most agents will look at marketing and say, it's my branding, right? And I actually was talking to a roofer this week and he was like, why do you think it is that like real estate agents more than anybody else in like kind of the trades and like the professional services industry, like why do they sell, like why do y'all self brand at such a higher level than everybody else? I think it's because there's just so freaking many of us, and you've got to be able to, you've got to be able to stand out. And I think branding is very important. But this is really not what we're talking about. We're not talking about your brand. We're talking about the way that you position this. And Joe, like you set it up so perfectly, because what you need to do in this process is start to understand what is my target market, right? What are the three unique things about my business and my and what I do and what I bring to the table and what people see in me? And then what is the proven process that I offer? And then this, and a lot of us talk about this in the real estate space, right? What is the guarantee that I'm offering the client? If you want to go look at this in action, I would encourage you. Actually, now you have to go look at Whistle Beer. But I used to always send people to Dan Beer's marketing site because it really was not about just brand awareness. It is 100% positioning. And his position is that they get their clients through transactions at the highest level possible, right? It's so freaking simple. And that's not their brand. It's not like I'm Dan. It's like, no, I'm Dan and this is what I do. And this is what we're missing because I think a A lot of times we're taking our lifestyle photos in kitchens and we're running our hands down the countertops, and like there's nothing wrong with that. But if it's not tied to exactly what Joe just shared, some kind of positioning, then it really is just more noise. And we're in the age of information right now. And like, I don't like, it's really hard to understand what a lot of agents are even conveying in their business. So one thing to remember here is that your marketing is not this, like, this one's huge. Your marketing is not to increase activity. You are not marketing to get more. You should be marketing to reduce friction in your business. That should be the sole purpose. Because here's the thing, your message should absolutely 100% repel the wrong clients for you. Your process in your marketing should become a moat that literally keeps your business thriving in what you do well. If you do exactly what Joe just said, he's going to absolutely have the people that he's going to be in alignment with come to the surface as they resonate with this branding, because it's not here to just increase overall activity. It's here to reduce friction in the marketplace so it's easier for your ideal consumer to work with your brand and with your position. Does that make sense to anyone? Anybody have like an aha there? Because I went back to reread this section of the VTO and I always forget how powerful this is. And I think that this should be the baseline of all of our marketing conversations in real estate, because I think we miss this a lot. I think we've got to feel like we got to show up like we're everybody to everything to everybody, and that we're versatile and that we can do all things, especially in real estate, right? I'm a luxury agent. I love first time home buyers. I work with investors. Like, Jeezy Pete, like I'm going to be real. Like, you cannot do all those things and market it well. It's not clear enough to the consumer, especially today with how they're receiving their information from you.
Hey, Anna, and if I can just tap onto that
I'd
two
love that.
things. No, number one is to take it a step further, like those three buckets, I'm calling them columns, those three columns that we are really drilling in our business right now. We have basically almost committed 100% of our marketing and advertising and events and everything around those columns. Like, we're still going to take care of past clients. We're always going to stay in front of them. We're always going to nurture them, of course. But we are getting so intentional with like going and leaning into what our game plan is that we're not doing anything really intentional to feed the everybody's, if that makes sense, because that's who we used to be. You said we were trying to be everything for everyone, and we were like, and we still got a long ways to go, especially around the social stuff. And believe it or not, as free as that is, that's actually we're shifting that towards the end, because we wanted to be very intentional with the back end so that when we show up on social and then we get the follow up, okay, well, what are we getting in front of them then? Like, it has to be very intentional. So your print and your digital marketing and your branding and your kit, let's call it that, and who you are has to be set first. Then it's the social, the free stuff, sure, the social, but when they say yes and they DM you or you DM them, like, what are you then feeding them, and are you leading them down the path to where they clearly see who you are and it's more than just what they saw on a screen, right? And then the last thing I'll say is, for us, we're not giving up on everyone else. We're not going to say no to that $300,000 deal or $200,000 deal. Of course not. As a matter of fact, we actually have a separate program that's a 30-day sold guarantee. So we're actually offering we will sell your home in 30 days. And if we don't, we will buy it. Now, ideally, that's going to hit people under 500,000. So it kind of speaks to the opposite of what I was just saying we were going to, right? But what we're doing is we're making sure that that program also feels extremely elevated so that there is not a skip in people seeing who we are, because they're going to see that program, of course. But if they see that, it's going to feel just as elevated as everything else we're doing and where we're going. And a lot of the language still aligns.
Yeah. And I mean, you just use the word align. We've been talking about this a lot. Like, I think, the rich people value money, wealthy people value time. I really do feel like when you get into these elevated spaces of building legacy and impact, alignment really is what matters. You guys know this. You guys know when you work with a client who you're not in alignment with, procuring it, servicing it, is so much more difficult. And then referral streams on the back end seem to be very hard and few in between, right? So one of the things that you're doing here with your marketing is that you're making sure that you are attracting a client that reduces friction in your business so that you can handle more and more and more and more volume. And this is one of those places where you start to reduce some of those needs within your business that start to drive down profit, right? Because maybe you don't need to hire as many support staff, as many VAs, you don't have to manage as many buyer's agents or whatever it may be, because because you have brought in the consumer that knows what they're getting really before they've even signed the paper, right? That's what we're talking about here, because your marketing is so connected to who you are and what you bring to the table that your deals get a lot easier because you're not having to educate, work for, guide, emotionally handle, and then seek referral business all within the same window of time, which I think runs us ragged, right? So I want you to go and look at your individual brand and marketing strategy. I know with my team, we talk about this a lot. What is that superpower? What experience do you bring that comes very naturally to you? I'm not naturally a certain way. I mean, Alice and I talk about this a little bit. We can be a chameleon, but where I'm most comfortable is being able to talk numbers with people. I'm not great at walking into a house and being like, oh my gosh, girl, I love these countertops. Look at that cabinetry. Look, I don't care. I'm looking at it and saying, man, what is this going to do for your financial portfolio in the long run, right? So guess who I don't resonate sometimes very well with? Like the move up buyer, like when we've got to go look and we're starting to look at feature lists, like I'm really not great there. And I know that about myself. So that's not something that like shows up in my brain. It's probably why you don't see me, and no shame, like you don't see me in houses with pretty countertops and my fingers dragging down them. It's just, it doesn't bring me joy. But you do see me a lot of times breaking down numbers on social media, sharing math, right? Like, which is bizarre. And I wish all my math teachers from elementary school could hear me say that because I was terrible at math. But you got to understand who you are and you have to lean into that. And this should go very much in hand with this big, hairy, audacious goal. Just like Joe shared, it should go with your overall vision component for your business. Okay, so here's where we get into a little bit of math. So you've got to set these 10-year goals. You have to. You need to make them scare the pants off of you. But this is the 3-year picture, and this is where your vision actually will start to become believable. This is not goals, right? 3-year pictures are not like, I have a goal of doing X, Y, and Z. This is literally the snapshot of what life is going to look like in 3 years. You need to be able to say, here is the revenue for the company, for my business in 3 years. Here is the profit that will be there in 3 years. Here is the team size, right? Here is the number of agents for the team leaders out there that I will need. For those of you that are building downline organizations within a rev share organization like EXP, what does the team need to look like that I'm recruiting in order to provide that? What are the roles that I will be in? What are the roles that I am going to leverage out because I'm hot garbage at it or it brings me no joy? And then I love to do this exercise with people and say, what does your calendar actually look like? And I do this exercise all the time. In 3 years, it is 6 a.m. and you are listening to your alarm go off or your AI robot's coming to wake you up. I don't know. You can go wherever you want to with that. But like it's 6 a.m. and it's time to wake up on a Wednesday morning in the middle of March. And what does life look like? You're waking up. What are you doing next? Who is around you? Physically, where are you? What town are you in? What house are you in? What car is in the driveway? When you open up your dumb First Bank app, I have First Bank in there, terrible. How much money is in it? How much money is in your stock portfolio? How much money are you giving to your kids' school this afternoon when they have a fundraiser? Literally, you need to go through an entire day, things that are important to you. What time are you spending, right? With who? Are you cooking dinner? Is someone dropping your clean laundry off? That's something that came true for me this week, right? What does your calendar actually look like? If you cannot picture you in your business 3 years from now, and I want you, I don't write it down, like pull over, like chant this out loud 5 times, you will overwork this year. If you cannot picture your business 3 years from now, you will overwork yourself this year. And here is why. Because you will think that in order to get where I want to go, I just need to be busy. BUSY. There will never be a point in the week where you will say, I have achieved what I need to achieve in order to get my goal, because you won't know what your goal is. Therefore, you won't have the measurables. So you will just run yourself ragged this year, probably somewhat into next year, and then you will end up somewhere so far away from what could have been your 3 year picture because you've done activities that weren't getting you anywhere closer to the 3 year picture. In fact, I would argue, and this is where you see the split happen with agents, you will find yourself in a position where you are less leveraged, where you are more of a slave to your business, where you are showing houses a week after you deliver twins via C-section, real life story for me, because you weren't building a vision. You were just doing what you know gets paychecks. We talked about it this week, my team. It's carrying the buckets, right? Instead of building the irrigation system. The 10-year big, hairy, audacious goal is what keeps you moving forward. The 3 year picture tells you what you're going to look like. Then it gets stupid simple because now we literally just go into the 1 year plan. And all this is just it's like a map key. Like it's like you pick this up, you lay it over the map, and it tells you exactly what you need to get where you want to go. Because this is simple. These are income targets that you then break down into your units, right? That you then break down into your sources, that you break into time put into cultivating those sources. And then you find the leverage pieces to help you do those activities faster. That's it. This is just vision meeting the math, the 1 year plan. Allison, what's the saying that you always share? You underestimate what? She's probably not listening. What do you overestimate and underestimate?
I think she fell off, actually, Anna.
Oh, that's fine. She said she's having service issues. Anyways, what she'll say is that you'll grossly overestimate what you can do in a year, and you'll underestimate what you could achieve in 5, which is the whole premise behind this. Because what happens is we set these big, you guys set these big, hairy, audacious goals for a single year. And you know what happens in December? If you were lucky enough or you worked hard enough to hit those goals, you are depressed AF when you have to clear out that spreadsheet or clear out your CSU and start over. Yes, the money's in the account. Yes, the client base is there, but it is hard. How many of you feel that? How many of you feel like it is hard to roll over into a new year? It's because the 10-year plan is not driving that season of your business. You went all in hard on a single year plan. We get it so wrong. So I want to challenge you to flip this and realize if you don't have the 10-year vision, the big thing that scares the pants off of you, and then you don't have a 3 year vision for what your life and your business is going to look like, what you're doing is you're trying to shove everything into 1 year. And you cannot live year by year by year. How many of you can say on this call definitively you are nowhere near the person you were 2 or 3 years ago? The things I value today look nothing like what I valued 2 or 3 years ago. The things I valued then don't look anything like what I valued in 2015 when I first got licensed. You guys know you go through fundamental changes of like who you are, and every 5 years, like life is going to change you. And so if you don't have the big 10 scare the pants off of you plan, and you don't have a way to visualize you in 3 years and what the things around you look like, and then you don't have the steps to be successful in 1 year, I do believe that you get subject to the burnout of just feeling like you're having to restart all the time. And entrepreneurs have a much higher threshold for that. We're better at that because we kind of wear it like a badge of honor a little bit. But what I'm telling you is there's a smarter, better way to play this to keep you from burning out. The last thing, and this is where you do your 12-week years, and I will say I'm going to successfully complete probably my first one this quarter because I feel like I finally have arrived to a place where I love my calendar. It took a long time. But what we're looking at here is these are the lowest, right? And I'm going to show you how they all work together in a second on one sheet for visual learners. But rocks, these are the deeper than top priorities. These are constraints in your business, bottlenecks, the leverage points that you need to build. Some of you need to hear the sentences: if everything is important, nothing is strategic. If every single thing that crosses your desk or hits your phone or shows up on social media that makes you feel like you need to implement it, if everything feels important, there is nothing strategic about your business. So rocks are the things that go much deeper than important things. These are bigger than the fire that's in the driveway right now that you've got to go solve. These are places in your business that you have constant constraint, constant bottlenecks, or constantly am running into a lack of leverage in your business. For some of you, this is as silly as you're having to go run around town checking on listings all the time, making sure lock boxes are on, right? For some of you, this is not being able to go into your database and work your sphere of influence at a high level because you have not set up the database correctly. These are the most important strategic things. And these are the things that every quarter you should say, I'm getting this done. No questions asked. There's a whiteboard to my left where I can see remnants of a quarter one list of things. Make Zoom meetings more accessible, update drip campaign template, finalize vendor list, cash offer, drip and guide, printed guides. Those become the 5 things that we have to get done. They're always prioritized and they're chosen because they strategically align with that 1-year plan. The last thing, and this one takes a lot of emotional maturity. You have to create an issues list. Nobody's business is running clean and clear. Everybody's business has problems. If I let my team go, they could tell you what probably all of my problems. We have issues in our business. That is going to come with it. What we have to understand is that issues are not problems to avoid, they're signals of growth. So many of us feel like if we had the clear runway, right, and nothing was in our way, that is the moment in which we will become the best versions of ourselves. I hear this all the time. And we hear it at the end of the year. I just need the new year to start. I got to get a fresh year. I just need May to be over. Moms, dads, you guys know we call it Mayvember around here. It's starting to spill into June. It's a bananas time. Everyone will talk about, oh, once the kids go back to school. There's always something in the runway, right? If my dad was just healthier, right? If I just had that baseline in the bank, if I just had $25,000 or $30,000 in the operating account that I knew like was safe. If I just had some extra childcare, if I just. What I am trying to help you understand here is that you need to create an issues list, right? But the things that I'm talking about right now are not issues in your business. They are things that you are putting up to justify not solving the real issues in your business. And I know I'm kind of getting preachy here, but this is something that's huge for me because the reality is the rocky ass runway that is hard to get a plane landed on, that is where you become skilled. No one gets better in a perfect terrarium environment where there is nothing coming at you. So what I want to share is that stop saying that your issues are external factors in your business. And I want you to really dive into your business and figure out what are the actual issues. Because that is going to signal growth opportunities. And healthy businesses, what you'll find, are going to surface the issues a lot faster. One of our issues is constantly getting information disseminated out into our agents' hands because we have a lot of things that we like to add. We have a lot of programs that we like to run. We like to constantly be evolving. I never want to feel stale. But getting that information and getting them to implement is a constant issue in our business. We know that. But I can't sit here and say, well, it's because they're not listening. It's because they're checked out. It's because they don't have the notifications turned on to Slack. That's not the issue. The issue is the information has to get clearer. The goal is not going to be to have fewer issues. The goal is just to resolve these faster and permanently. So this is the VTO, right? The vision tracker. This is all part of EOS. So we started with core values. We went through the big, hairy, audacious goals. We covered the marketing piece. We covered the 3-year, the 1-year, the rocks, the issues list, right? All 7 of those things exist to create this VTO. You can go on the internet, you can Google EOS VTO. You can get a free tracker. You can get a free download. You can talk to your Claude or your GPT about it. And I'm sure that lovely robot that might wake you up in 3 years will tell you exactly how to start mapping this out with what they know about you. But the most important thing, and I can go back to Dee Dee's piece here, because the most important thing is that the VTO is going to allow somebody else to understand why decisions are made, allow the business to operate without constant approval, and maintain alignment without micromanagement. If the VTO lives only in your head, you are the bottleneck. And for some of you on teams or solo agents, you're like, well, how does this apply? Because you are using teams to use tools to plug into your business. You still are an owner operator of your business. And as you want to scale, bring on showing assistant help, bring on additional support, bring on someone to help you leverage social media marketing at a higher level. This is not going to suddenly just come out of your butt. It's not just going to be there. You're going to have to develop it. You're going to have to get comfortable with it, and you're going to have to be able to convey it to other people. If your VTO lives only in your head, you are the bottleneck. Team leads, one of the things that you can do here is have a state of the company meeting every couple of quarters, every couple of, at least once or twice a year. Show the numbers. Remind your team what the big, hairy, audacious goal is. Remind them of the 1-year goal and show them where you are constantly against that, because that helps people move in the right direction over and over again. If you don't have a VTO for your business, from core values all the way down to an issues list, I challenge you to spend some time working on it. It should not be like a quick, let me pop on and work on this. It 100% should be, let me dive in and really do some self-evaluation of my business and start to build something that's going to last for the next 10 years. I hope everyone on this call has the vision of being highly successful in real estate 10 years from now. I do think that this is what is going to do it, and this is going to get you there faster than more leads, better marketing. This is going to win every single time. So I challenge you to jump into this. Don't just put this on the shelf. Leo posted this yesterday. He said, you don't need more trainings. You don't need more courses. You don't need more ideas. You just need to execute what's already been presented. So my challenge is, I think this is the most important thing that you can implement to solve the burnout issue, which is the whole reason why we presented this, because we're getting to that time of year where you're going to start falling off a little bit. It's not going to feel new and shiny. You've got problems that have now come in. You've lost some deals. Your numbers are getting some changes from that. Like, this is the time where you've got to be able to lean in and say, but this is the 1-year plan. And that 1-year plan feeds that 3-year lifestyle vision that I have for myself. And in 3 blocks of those, I will have this big, hairy, audacious life or goal or whatever it is within 10 years. And when you have those $3 million months, team leaders or agents, you lose 2 listing appointments back to back or whatever it is that makes you feel inadequate. You just know that it's part of the process, because the big plan is moving you towards that 10-year big, hairy, audacious goal. Anybody have any ahas or questions? I'm gonna let you go because I know it's 9:15 and I ran long, but this is just so important, and I feel like it's so important to share. I was just thinking, I was like, maybe nobody's here. Maybe everybody left.
No, are really good things, Anna. I mean, I just think it all comes down to thinking bigger, and really a continuation of something I know you're passionate about, and you walk the walk and stuff. And it's just about, like, I think most of us, not all, um, want to live our best life. We want to maximize what we're able to do for ourselves, our family, our kids. And so for me, that's bigger than just our traditional helping buyers and sellers. And so I think what you're saying here is if you're going to help buyers and sellers to the maximum, you want to be the best that you can be, then you have to have some intention in place. If you want to scale, you definitely have to have intention. And if you want to do more with your life and set the wheels in motion for doing bigger things, you have to have a vision, and that vision has to be bigger than what you're trying to go after. So you were talking earlier about 10-year. So that stands out. Most of us are just trying to get through the day, the week, the month. But if we slow down sometimes and we think about like the impact of our decisions or lack thereof, I think that's really what you're talking about. So this is really good. I don't think a lot of groups or people coming together talk about this often enough. And sometimes it can feel a little uncomfortable because we don't want to force ourselves into thinking bigger than what we've got on our plate this week. I mean, we're coming up halfway through the week, and a lot of us have already had crazy things going on or fun things, and it's a lot. So thank you for challenging us to think bigger than just where we are today. So yeah, that's what I took from it.
And guys, I mean, I'm a self-proclaimed non-visionary. Okay. So also let me tell you, like, I'm not the daydreamer. I'm not Bomarito with her WI just sitting around wondering. I love you, Ashley, but like I'm not sitting there thinking about what's possible. All right. I like to operate. I like to get shit done. I like to build things. I like to break things, and I like to build them back. So where did my vision come from? My vision came from I saw other people doing it. And I said, well, if they can do it, we can do it. So I also think it's very important. Like, you don't need to be this visionary, right? We're not all visionaries. That's not boxing you in here. But I said, well, if Kenny Fast can do 500 million annually in this time that he's done it, there's no way this won't be possible, right? We can absolutely do this. And it's so funny because I've had Tina Call, one of my mentors, share with me from the very beginning. She told me in 2022 when we said it, she said, you're going to get there so much faster than 10 years. To me, I was like, you are a crazy person. There is no way. At the time we were doing like 30 million, maybe, right? And I had like there was less than five of us. Like, this woman is bananas. Like, this is going to take, I don't know that we would come close within 10 years. And like now, like, yeah, I think it's 100% achievable in 7, if not even faster, which is insane. So if you need vision, borrow it from other people that are doing this the way that you want to. You don't have to copy them, but let them be the proof that it's possible. If it's possible for them, it's possible for you, because anyone doing what you want to do will tell you they are not special. I'm an idiot sandwich. The fact that I'm here is wild. Okay. Anybody else have any thoughts?
It was great. I came out in the middle. I'm gonna rewatch it again, but I actually just stopped at Emily's house to work real quick before I go to my son's school. But I just said, like, when I hear you talk, it is very motivating. It makes me want to get into action, like the way that you present the material. So I appreciate how you just make it feel easier. It's hard, but I think you make it feel like, okay, I can do this, which is really good. And it just sitting with yourself, which I don't do, which I've been much better this year about kind of organizing my space, keeping the kitchen clean, like all those things literally pile on into like getting things set up for you. So I've noticed a difference in my business just mentally doing those things. So I'm excited to like rewatch this and work on it. Have you helped me?
I don't know if you guys have seen the little viral interview from the Olympics. The skier that was so well versed. I think she skied for China, but lives in California, as Mike can probably tell me her name. But they were like, why, like, you're so quick to respond, whether someone asks you about something like geopolitical or like in your sport or like whatever, like how, like, where are these answers coming from? And she says, I'm very introspective. I spend a lot of time with myself. And I think the thing that I do is like, guys, and I look like a crazy person. My children are going to tell people one day that I was crazy. Like, I will ride in the car and just speak things out loud to myself to see how to see what I feel about them, to figure out if they land, to sometimes just convince myself that what I'm saying is reality, right? So we miss this tool of spending this time with ourselves sometimes. So it's really great that we can do this as a group, but like take this back and like talk through this, even if it's to somebody else or to your AI bot. I don't care who you talk it to. Talk through it and say, look, this might sound kind of crazy, but I want to talk about what I want my life to look like in 10 years. Because you audibly saying it starts to literally change cells in your body. Like it will start to change things. It's so, so, so important. So be very introspective. And then make sure that you're putting those things out there. I'm telling as many people as possible. Our goal this year is 200 million. I want everybody to know it because I don't care if it's 175 at the end of the year. I'm not going to say we didn't hit our goal. I'm going to say, holy bananas, look at the growth we had over last year. So don't be afraid to put it in the universe. Spend time with yourself developing, but then make sure you're sharing it. Okay, that's all I have. I got to go get ready for Blake to share all this knowledge with us here. Sorry I went long. Happy Wednesday. If you're in town, there might be a little bit of room tomorrow at the LEN in Fuquay. If you're out of town and you want to Zoom with us, there's a Zoom option. So just check social media. I'll post the link. You're more than welcome. We'll have more of these conversations tomorrow. And I hope everyone's killing lots of contracts and doing lots of big things. Allison would kill me if she knew I was still on here at 9:21. Bye.